We are preparing for another extremely difficult road trip, and the Wyoming road trip presents a whole series of unique issues when you travel there. A hard place to get to, altitude, arena, crowd, but more importantly, opponent. They're good, and they're playing very good basketball. They play everybody close. They play a style where it doesn't matter what you do, you're going to have a hard time getting in the mid-60s. And you might have a hard time getting into the mid-50s. A year ago there, we had 9 points at halftime. And I don't think I need to say anything more in terms of the difficulties that they can present to you when you play them. That's the challenge for us on Tuesday. We've had a group that have prepared for each game in a manner that gives us a chance to be successful. And that's what we're doing as we get ready to head up to Laramie, Wyoming and play the Cowboys. So I'm anxious to see how we'll continue to perform. Different team, different set of challenges, but the challenges are always there. Play well and find a way to win. We've been able to do that, and that's our goal heading up to the next game. Any questions for me?
Coach, go for it.
I was just the 9 points at halftime, and not that you guys need any motivation, but I mean, I'm sure the guys that were there at the last time remember it and use it as motivation.
Well, I don't know that as motivation. It's a reminder that if you don't come prepared, if you don't play well, crazy things happen. We played them here after we played them there, and we had 34 or 35 points at half. And we struggled to have that with 5 minutes to go in the game at their place. So I don't think that will be something that will show over and over again. We always have cuts when we play an opponent for the first time in conference the next year. A handful of things that we show of us. So those will be some of the things that we look at. And I've already told them. They know. The ones who are there know. Most of you don't know, Xavier Thames did not play in that game. His back didn't allow him to play. And obviously, you take even a year ago when he wasn't our leading scorer, and you know, first sentence when we talk about the team, talking about him as he is now, he was invaluable to our team.
You mentioned the altitude as one of the bigger challenges. Do you notice, I mean, there's always going to be some difference, but do you notice a significant change in the way your players play in the altitude, the much higher altitude?
A very successful coach once said, the altitude should not be an issue because you play indoors. And I think his players responded accordingly. Our players know that altitude's an issue. They put it up, but you play. You play and you find a way to work through if you have any burning in your lungs and having a hard time initially getting your second wind. One thing that we've been able to do this year when we get tired, go to the bench quickly. I think that's an advantage for a team that's got quality depth, which we do have. So we might sub a little earlier. We might sub a little more frequently during the course of the game. But I do not anticipate, would not want to say, well, we didn't play hard because of the altitude. That's a stretch for us to say that. But you're up at wherever it is. It's boldly printed, and when you walk into that building, 5,200 or 6,200 or whatever it is, feet above sea level.
The 21-game win streak, assuming you win, I mean, that's got to be something that you guys are looking at, I'm assuming, with the school record.
Well, we'd like to, yes. More importantly, we would like to stay undefeated in league play. If we win, it would be our 21st consecutive win, which is a pretty amazing accomplishment for anyone. Not many people in America, including us, have won 21 in a row. Not many have won 20 in a row. And yet there are a couple this year that have won more than that. So That's what we would hope to do. But we're more intent on winning the game than we are getting a record for win streak. But it's neat. It's neat that we are 21-1. It's a pretty amazing accomplishment, and we're proud of that fact.
Steve, as the streak gets longer and longer, how do you sort of keep the guys from getting tight? You know, the more you win, the more you have at stake, right? How do you kind of keep them playing at that same level?
You're exactly right. You sometimes can put yourself in a position where you play not to lose rather than play to win, and you can't have that. You can't be a scoreboard watcher every 2 minutes to see what the score is and how much time's left and those sorts of things. Sometimes if you're not careful, that can happen, but you can't. You have to focus on, let's play as hard as we can. And if we play as hard as we can, we'll have a chance. I anticipate every game we play going down to the last 4 or 5 minutes with either team having an opportunity to win, regardless of the record of either team, home or away. So you can't get shocked when you say, are we only 2 points ahead? Are we 3 points behind? And we've talked about that. We've talked about that. I've also said that pressure is good if it's channeled the right way. I think if you put pressure on yourself to perform and to play well, that's good. But it can't be fear, either fear of failure or fear of winning, that you're getting your pressure from. But it's, you know, we've all seen it. It can sometimes happen to teams where they get tight and out of character. I would be surprised if it happens to us, because we preach this is a good team we're playing. And our kids are understanding. They know. We watch tape on Wyoming. I'll use Wyoming because that's who we play now. They very easily could have beaten New Mexico in both games, who's got only 1 loss. They had a 2-point game most recently at Vegas. They're a quality team. Larry Scheid has done an amazing job with that team. They have what they say, and they got facts to back it up, the most improved player in the conference and one of the most improved players in the country in Nance. He is a handful. And they all talk about his dad, Larry Nance, who played in the pros. The young Nance is really, really good. And he's not the only head guy that they have who can play. So I think from that perspective, our kids will come out knowing that we're going to have them, there'll be a ball game.
When you look at the last 2 games, it seems like your offense is sort of finding a groove finally in terms of shooting. Do you see an improvement from the guys? Or has it kind of been that way all year in practice and they're just doing it in the game now?
Our offense, again, and that's a point that I think not mentioned enough. Our offense is significantly better now than it was a month ago. From the standpoint of spacing the floor, knowing what to do when the ball's on one side and you're high on the opposite side, knowing the value of movement, knowing that you have to have the ability to throw it inside and out, knowing that if you set a screen, your screens must be set at the proper angle to be effective. We're a lot better with our concepts. And what had been missed shots the last game and a half or so have been made shots, which gives us confidence. But I do think that our offense, in terms of what we're doing, the way we're doing it and how we're doing it, is significantly better than when we started the season. And I'm hopeful that we'll shoot the ball the way we have the last game and a half. We've added a few things to create more. It's a little bit of program movement, but there's freedom within that movement to break it off and make a play out of it. So it's not all just throw the ball to X and everybody stand back and have Skyler come up and set a screen for him. There's a lot of things that we're doing, and I would hope that we could continue to talk about the growth of of our offense in terms of how well we're finishing and making plays. And it'd be hard to shoot 50-some-odd% every game, but we are better. There's no question our offense is a big reason why we've won the last couple games, the way we've won them.
Your defense has been a constant, though. And I know that's not like a new concept for you, but this team, is it better than you've seen in a while? I mean, I just wonder where this ranks in your tenure here.
I'm not positive as to how this team is compared to others we've had. I would say that looking back, and we look back, as I said, to last year's team, and I don't want to be disparaging on last year's team, but this year's team, compared to all of them, I believe that we've been more consistently alert and playing hard, 5 people at a time, for longer stretches. We don't have as many one guy breaks down and all of a sudden it creates problems for the team. So I think we're better as a group. I think part of that comes from the fact that in years past, and maybe it was me, I played guys too many minutes straight. We had guys, Chase and Jamal, that were in the top 4 to 5 minutes played in the league. We have nobody in the top 12 this year in terms of minutes played, and that's good. And I think that's helped us defensively. We've got the ability to play different ways. We got athletes that can switch the stuff if we want to. We've got length to where if we double in the post, we make it hard for people. We've got Skylar Spencer, who's turned into a really good guy inside. We talk about Vegas having those guys that change angles, and Skylar has done that for us. So he's turned some what looked like could be easy baskets into blocks or hard shots when they try to finish going to the rim too.
When these kids are thinking about being basketball players at this level, they're thinking about making shots and slam dunks and stuff. How have you taught kids how to be great defenders? Exciting. The defense is awesome.
We practice what we preach. Everybody talks about defense and rebounding wins. If you watch our practices, every day we have breakdown drills for defense. And where it's teaching, you know, you've heard me use the term technique versus tempo. We've had technique days. We have 18 minutes every day where 5 guys are on offense at one end, 5 guys are on defense, and we'll put managers or scout team guys at both ends, where part of what we do is technique, and then we build tempo into that technique. So we work at it. Justin Hudson's done a great job being on point because that's his baby. Justin's in charge of the defense. So as we prepare for a game, I will say, Justin, here are the things that they do that I see could create problems. How are we going to guard them? And then we talk to the staff, and I give him wiggle room to say, here's how I want to start. So I think that helps. I think there's ownership, but it's with all of us really. We're all involved. But it's the kids. I think the kids they've worked hard. Maybe a bit of fear factor. If you don't play, we're going to put somebody in for you. And maybe we've done that a little quicker this year to make a point of emphasis, rather than just saying, hey, you got to do this and let them play another 3 minutes and make 2 more mistakes. I'm not sure, but we're a good defensive team, and we can't slip. The goal is not to slip. I mean, statistically, we're not the best defensive team in the league if you look at stats. Field goal defense, 3-point defense, defensive rebounding. So we got to get better. And you look at Wyoming, they're one of the leaders in field goal percentage in the league. Going into Vegas, they were shooting 48% from the field in their conference games. That's pretty good. So we've got to do a good job and stay with it and keep making it a heavy point of emphasis.
See, Dwayne Poley had 3 more steals the other night. Is he one of those guys who's committed to the defense, and also is his body style, I mean, he's got the huge wingspan, how much does that play into a guy believing in the defense but then having the physical attributes to make it happen?
Dwayne Poley Sr. did that years ago. I didn't have the chance to see him, but he was a phenom. And our Dwayne Poley is instinctive in terms of sometimes how he plays. He made a couple steals in the Nevada game that nobody else could have made because of his length, as you said, his anticipation, his ability to take that first quick step and be there. He really is good at that. He's a very strong asset to our defense. In the full court, he gets his hands on a lot of balls. So we need to make sure we continue to utilize all the assets we've got and all the abilities that each of the guys have. And you're right, that's one thing that he's proven he's pretty good at.
And he enjoys it. It seems like he really is committed to wanting to be that guy.
Everybody likes to steal the ball and get a dunk, so that's what he's thinking. When he gets a hand on a ball, he's thinking, I'm going to get one and I'm going to get another one.
Yeah.
I'm going to get one and I'm going to get two.